nutrition application. This training is going to apply to everyone who operates the National School Lunch Program and School Breakfast Program. So that should hopefully be all of you. If you are a sponsor who does not operate the National School Lunch Program or School Breakfast Program, then you do not need to attend this training, but I do not think that applies to anyone here. So this training should apply to everyone. We'll be walking through the new application process and how to do it and how it's different from what we have done in the past in CNP Web. We have put on the screen the key area and professional standards learning code. And so if you need that for your professional standards, it is on the screen right there, but we will dive into it. So for our agenda today, we are going to introduce you to PrimeroEdge. We are going to review what available resources we have created for you to help navigate through PrimeroEdge. We are going to conduct a comprehensive walkthrough of the application process, and then we are also going to provide dedicated time at the end of each section to work on the application. And so you will have some time during this training to work on those applications on your own, ask questions, and we will be there to help you. So the goals for today's training, we want sponsors to know where to find training resources on how to use PrimeroEdge. We want you to be able to successfully navigate PrimeroEdge. And then by the end of this training session, we want you to have started the process to work on your school nutrition applications in PrimeroEdge for school year 25-26. I did not put complete on here because you will not be able to complete them at this time. There's going to be information that you don't have access to or that you don't know. And there's also going to be some contract documents that you'll have to upload into your applications as well. And so we want you to start the process. We want you to become familiar with filling out those applications, but you are not expected to complete those applications today. But I want to start off by kind of introducing PrimeroEdge since it is new to a lot of you. So we are now live in our new state software system, which is PrimeroEdge. And moving forward, we are going to be using PrimeroEdge to manage our annual contract renewal process, claims, and reporting. So this system is replacing our current CNP Web system. So you will not be using CNP Web moving forward unless you are operating SSO, and then also for some direct certification as well, which I will talk about later in the training. So if you have questions on direct certification, just know there will be some dedicated time to address what's going on with direct certification. If you are operating the seamless summer option, so SSO, you will use CNP Web this summer to submit all of your SSO claims. So just know that that will be submitted in CNP Web and not PrimeroEdge, but all other claims will be submitted through PrimeroEdge. So if you're operating the National School Lunch Program in July and August, those claims will be submitted in PrimeroEdge and not in CNP Web. So I wanted to give a little bit of context on why we're moving to this new software system. The reason why is because our CNP Web contract is ending. We have already been using PrimeroEdge over the past couple of years for the food distribution module. So there are some of you that have already been in the system, have been using it for that. However, even if you are already familiar with PrimeroEdge because of food distribution, the program management module, which we'll be talking about today, is quite different from the food distribution program module. And so you want to make sure that you are utilizing the resources and trainings that we're providing to learn the new system. And then just a quick update on PrimeroEdge. What is it? It is a provider of school nutrition software for state agencies and districts across the country. And just a fun fact is that we are the first state agency in the country to implement the full suite of modules across all nutrition and food distribution programs. So we're kind of, pioneering this, but it's been a good learning process for everyone. And we do think that you will like the software system as well. So just a couple of things to keep in mind. PrimeroEdge is very different than CNP Web. So when you're in it, don't expect it to look or ask the same questions as CNP Web. There are going to be different questions and requirements that you're doing in PrimeroEdge than what you did in CNP Web. There's also less room for flexibility than what you might be used to with CNP Web, so just be aware of that. The process to reopen, edit, get something approved is expected to take a little bit longer than it does with CNP Web. So it is very, very important that you follow the steps that we have outlined for the application exactly. If you miss pressing a button or filling out a question, then there's no way for you to submit your application. So it is really important that you follow the steps correctly, but we have provided training materials and resources for you, and we do expect you to use them. I did want to mention that there's going to be, over 100 sponsors all learning a new program at the same time. And so as much as we would love to be able to help each person individually with this process, we just don't have the resources to do so. And so that is why we have created training materials, which we do expect all of you to use. So we have created a PrimeroEdge manual, which I'm going to introduce in just a second so that you can see what that looks like. And it does walk you through step by step the process for the application. And so please make sure that you are using that manual as you're going through it. You can also watch the training videos. We have training videos posted as well. This will also be recorded and posted on NSLP Central too. So there are going to be lots of different resources that will help you with this process. We do know that change is hard. We understand that learning a new system is always challenging, but we do hope that we've put together some good resources for you to use. And if there is anything that you notice is missing or is not explained well in our resources, we would like you to reach out to us to let us know so that we can get that fixed so that it is more clear to you moving forward. If you do encounter a bug when you're in PrimeroEdge or something is not functioning the way that is outlined in the manual, please reach out to your assigned specialist to let them know so that we can get that fixed. Okay, I want to go through the timeline for PrimeroEdge and the school nutrition program application. So today is July 9th. This is when you get access to PrimeroEdge. You would have already had access earlier, but this is when you'll kind of start working on your application and your annual contract renewal for this upcoming school year. So between July 9th and September 5th is when you are going to establish access to the system. You're going to fill out your application and all of your necessary documentation. You're going to sign any agreements that need to be signed. You're going to make any necessary corrections to your application, and you're going to get your application in final approval status. So we do want you to have your application submitted and ready to be approved by September 5th. So that is kind of the deadline for that. And then our deadline for our office is to have your application approved by September 15th. So just so that you know, this is what the timeline looks like. You have a few months to get that done. Hopefully it'll be plenty of time. But we do want to make sure that, we have your application approved by September 15th, so there's no issues with claiming. We do not want to approve it too late, because then it might put you past the 60-day deadline for claims. All right, so we are going to go through some of the resources that we have provided for you. And so the first thing, everything is posted on NSLP Central. So I'm going to switch over to NSLP Central really quickly. So if you are on NSLP Central, we have a couple of different resources posted. So first off, if you don't have access to PrimeroEdge and you need PrimeroEdge, if you go under the software access right here, we have the PrimeroEdge user access request form. So you can click into that, fill out that access request, and then we will get you access. Right now, we are currently working on giving everyone access. We got a lot of requests this morning, and so we have not been able to get to all of them yet. So just be patient if you don't have access yet, but you've requested it. We are working on those. We just may not be able to get to all of them right away just because we got so many this morning. So just hang tight if that is the case. But all of our resources are going to be under annual contract renewal in NSLP Central. And so if you come under here, we have our resources right here. So we have a PrimeroEdge Program Management SNP Application Manual. This is going to be the thing you're going to be in the most. And so we highly recommend that you bookmark this manual, use it throughout the application process because it is going to be very, very helpful. We also have a PrimeroEdge infographic that's here that just kind of explains our move to PrimeroEdge. And then I'll be mentioning this later in this training, but we do have all of our contract documents that need to be signed under forms and templates. And so if you need access to them, they're all going to be here. But I'm going to click into the manual so you can kind of see what that looks like. So when you're in here, I just want to show you kind of how to navigate this manual. Up at the top, you can easily navigate to the section that you're working on. So if you want to know how to fill out the general info tab of the application, you'll click on here and it'll take you down there. If you want to look at how to fill out, after school snack program, you'll click there. It'll take you to the after school snack program. And so you can easily click to whichever section you need to get to. We've also linked the PrimeroEdge user access request form in this manual. And so if you need access to PrimeroEdge or you need it for some of your employees, you can fill it out here. And then it just is broken down by the different parts of the application. And so it has an introduction of how to use this reference. It has the infographic that I mentioned linked in here. We have steps on how to use and navigate PrimeroEdge. And so if you are not familiar with PrimeroEdge, if you've never been in the system before, I highly recommend that you look at these steps. It'll pull up on the side right here. And so you can kind of walk through it and it'll show you what PrimeroEdge looks like, how to navigate it, where important things are kept in PrimeroEdge. This is really, really helpful. So I do recommend that if you are not familiar with PrimeroEdge, you look here. Also, another thing to note is that PrimeroEdge did change its user interface. And so it may look a little bit different than what you're used to if you haven't logged in since, May or April of this year. It does look a little bit different than it did in the past. And so I would recommend, again, checking out this How to Use and Navigate PrimeroEdge guide so that you can get familiar with the new look of PrimeroEdge. And then it's going to walk you through all the different parts of the application, which we're going to do as well during this training. But just know that if you get lost at any point, you're not sure what to do, come to this manual. You can go through the general info tab. It tells you how to fill out the general info tab. We also have videos that PrimeroEdge has created for each of these sections. So you can click on the video. It'll take you to a video of that as well. So if you prefer a video over the step-by-step instructions, you can also, navigate there. So everything is together in one place. And we do expect you to be using this before reaching out to our office about any questions that you have. Like I said, we do have, everyone is learning this new software system together. And so we just don't have the time or the resources to help everyone individually. And that's why we've put together this manual for you to use. And so we highly recommend using it as you're going through the process. Okay, I'm going to get back over to the PowerPoint. Okay, so moving on, what to expect for this training. We are going to walk through the entire application together. And so you're going to want to have PrimeroEdge open up your application and follow along. If you don't have multiple screens, you can just watch as we walk through it, and then we're going to give some dedicated time at the end of each section for you to work on it. And so you don't actually have to have it up and open at the same time, but make sure it's open so that you can work on it during the dedicated time that we give you to work on the application. And so, like I said, you'll have that dedicated time. We will have a timer displayed for each section, so you know how much time you have to work on it. We're only giving that amount of time, and so if you don't finish it during that time, that is fine. You can always go back to it later, but we do want to give that time so you can kind of dip your toes in the water, figure out what you're doing, and then ask any questions if you have questions about what those, what the sections mean, what it's asking for in the application. We have a Q&A chat, which I'm going to show you how to use in just a second. And so you can ask any questions about the application in the Q&A chat. I did want to make a note that for this Q&A, please only ask questions about PrimeroEdge, and if you need clarification on what the questions in PrimeroEdge means, don't ask specific questions about how you personally should answer the question. We want to make sure that this is relevant for everybody, and so if you're not sure how to answer the question, you'll need to find that information with the help of others at your LEA at a later time. We just want to make sure that everything is clear with our training. So if you're not sure what something means in the application, please post it in the chat. And then I did want to address that we do expect there to possibly be some technical issues. So if you do encounter any technical issues, problems with logging into the system, any system bugs, things that are not functioning the way that they should be functioning, please indicate that in the Q&A chat. We have some help desk breakout rooms that we will be directing you in and out of for one at a time individual support. So please wait your turn to be directed. We will let you know that you will be directed into those breakout rooms. And the help desk is exclusively for technical issues. And so if you're having issues with logging in, bugs, things like that, you'll go to the help desk. Otherwise, any program related questions should be addressed in our main presentation room. So to find the Q&A chat, you can find it by looking at this bottom bar. There is that Q&A. So we've disabled the chat, I believe, but there is this Q&A button right here. Or if it's not showing for you, you can click on this More button and you can find the Q&A chat under the More. So it looks like that. And you can type all your questions into the Q&A. And so hopefully that is showing up on your screen. Use that function. Again, we won't be using the chat for this training. We will be using the Q&A exclusively. So please type any of your questions that you have into that Q&A chat. All right, so we are going to give you some time to log into PrimeroEdge just to make sure that you have it up and open on your screen and ready to go. So the website is posted here. We can also drop it in the chat. So Isabella Ernie, if you can put that login information into the chat, that would be great so that you have it there. We're going to give you 5 minutes to get in. And then if you need help with logging in, please type in the Q&A if you need help logging in, and we will direct you to those help desks to give you some help with that. And then I would also recommend that if you need to get information from prior year applications, to log into CNP Web right now as well, so that you can view that information to help you with filling out your application. So we are going to go ahead and start able to. I know there's a few that weren't able to, and so we are currently working on helping you with that, but we're going to move forward for those of you that are able to log in, and those that can't. Hopefully we'll get you access pretty soon and you can continue on with the training. So what we're going to do now is we are going to walk through the application in the PrimeroEdge program management module. So I am going to get that opened up really quickly. Okay. So when you log into PrimeroEdge, this is what it looks like. I am currently in the testing system because I don't want to make any changes to any of your applications in the live system. So yours will look a little bit different since you are all in our live system. You won't have that yellow banner at the top. But this is what PrimeroEdge looks like. So you can see here that there is this workspace area, and it's going to have all of the modules that you have access to in this area. So I have 4 modules that I have access to on the test site. Most of you will only have access to 1 or 2. So if you participate in USDA Foods, you'll have access to the food distribution module. And then you should also have access to the program management module. So if you don't have access to the program management module, that is an issue. So please, if you can post that in the Q&A so that we can get that worked out with you, that would be great. But you should all have access to this program management module. I did want to bring attention on the right to the announcements and my messages section. And so if there are any announcements, they are going to be posted here. So please pay attention to that. They will usually be important announcements that you'll want to be aware of. And then any messages that we send to you will also be in this My Messages section. So again, pay attention to that. PrimeroEdge is really great because it has the capability and capacity to send messages directly to you through the system. And so if we do that, any of those messages will be displayed in the My Messages section right here. Up at the top in this purple header bar is how you're going to navigate around the system. And so if you ever need to get to this home page that we're currently on right now, you can always click this home icon and it'll bring you to this page that we're on right now. This gear icon is your settings. And so you can go here to see, what users are associated with your sponsor. So if you want to know who has access to the system, you can go to that gear icon and click on users to see which users have access to PrimeroEdge. This for button icon right here will take you to the modules that you have access to. So if you want to go straight to the food distribution module or straight to the program management module, you can click on that for box item and you can click directly on the module. And then this 3-dot icon right here tells you, your school, who's the user, and then you can also sign out here as well. So that's kind of how you're going to navigate through PrimeroEdge. We're going to go back home and we're going to be working in this program management module. So I'm going to go ahead and click on program management and it's going to take me to this page right here. So all of the different module functions that you have access to are going to be on the left side of the screen. So you can see that you have access to sponsor applications, FFVP is here, food safety inspections, your reimbursement claims, reports, verification, all of that is going to be on this left side of the screen. For today's training, we're going to be solely focused on sponsor applications, but just know we will be providing other trainings in the future relating to, FFVP, reimbursement claims. All of that will also be covered, but not during this training right now. So just look out for our notifications of those additional trainings. And so here under sponsor applications, it might already be closed for you. And so if it is, you'll just have to click on it to get to this applications box right here. So we're going to be in applications. And then just something I want to mention is that if you ever want to collapse the module functions so that you have more room on the screen, you can click on this 3-line hamburger icon right here and it'll collapse it so that you now have more room to work in the system if you would like. And I'm actually I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so you can see that better. To get it back, you'll just click back on the little hamburger icon and it'll bring all those module functions back up. Okay, but we're gonna start working in this applications section. So when we're in applications, you're gonna wanna make sure you're in the correct sponsor year. So we wanna be in 2025 to 2026. When you're in 2025 to 2026, it is going to let you know which programs you have access to. Right now, it should just be school nutrition. If you also operate the child and adult care food program, once those applications open, you'll also see the child and adult care food program under here as well. And same with if you do seamless summer option, that will be for next school year. But eventually seamless summer option will also appear under here as well. So kind of the difference between this system and CNP Web is that everything is all together. So it's not separated out like it is in the CNP Web. You'll have access to all of the different programs that you operate all in one place. But since we're doing school nutrition, we are going to focus solely on school nutrition. You can also see there's a little arrow button right here. So if you want to expand it, you can see your progress on the application. So you can see which parts of the application you haven't started, which ones are in progress, which have already been submitted. And so if you want to see more information about the application, you can click on that. It'll also tell you like how many sites you have and the status of your sites. But we can go ahead and collapse that again. And we are going to go ahead and click on this school nutrition hyperlink to start the application. So when you click on the school nutrition app hyperlink, it's going to take you to the general info tab in your application. So the application is broken out by tabs, again, a little bit different than what it looks like in CNP Web. And we're going to start with this general info tab right here. So the things that we're going to be paying attention to in the general info tab is your address information, which is on the left side of the screen, your sponsor information on the right side of the screen, and then your allowed program participation, which is at the bottom of the screen. So the general info tab doesn't really need any action taken on it. All of this information is already filled in for you. What your job is to review the information that is in the general info tab and make sure that all of the information is correct. So you're going to want to look at your address info first. You're going to want to make sure that your physical address is correct and your correspondence address is correct. The physical address should match your main street address, and the correspondence address is the address where any correspondence should be mailed to. And these addresses are not always the same. And so sometimes rural locations will have a physical address that is different than a correspondence address. The correspondence address may be a PO box. And so it doesn't always have to match, but you're going to look at that and just make sure that your physical address is correct and where you want any mail sent is correct as well. Because sometimes we have to send you notifications through the mail, and so we want to make sure that we're sending it to the correct place. So you'll check those. You can also check your phone number, fax number. We don't have those automatically in there, and so if you would like to add them, I will show you how to do that in a minute. On the right is the sponsor information. It's displayed on this right side of the screen, and we, the state agency, have pre-populated this information. So everything that needs to be filled out should already be in this section. And so it includes information such as your sponsor type, your tax status, your UEI, your federal EIN. All of that information is over here. Just note that we have assigned a sponsor admin to you. This should be the person with administrative responsibility for school nutrition programs. So in most cases, that is the food service director. And again, if it's not correct, if for some reason someone left and you need to assign a new sponsor admin, you can go ahead and update that information. But in order to put a sponsor admin here, the individual designated as a sponsor admin does need to be a user in the system in order to be added. And so you will need to request PrimeroEdge access for that person before you can add them as your sponsor admin. And then just note that the vendor name ID number down here, you should not be making any changes to that. If you do make changes to the vendor number, it could result in you not receiving any payment for your reimbursement claims. So it is important that you leave this vendor number the way it is in the system so that it does not affect payments for claims. If you do, for some reason, need to make a change to your vendor number, don't change it in the system. Contact your assigned specialist to let them know so that we can take a look at that. Okay, so what you're going to do is review this information, and if any information needs to be changed, either in the address info section or the sponsor info section, you're going to click on this Update My Info button in order to edit the information. So this is going to allow you to make changes. So if you wanted to add a phone number, you could go ahead and, add in a phone number right here. If you need to make a change to the sponsor admin, you can look up a new user that will show up. And so again, only users that have been added for access in the system will be able to appear for the sponsor admin, but that's how you'll make the change if you need to change your sponsor admin. You can also, If the UEI is for some reason incorrect, you can change it as well. And once you have, made those updates, you are going to go ahead and click this submit button right here. And that information is going to go to the state agency for approval. So it's not going to be automatically approved. We need to review the information first and determine if it is correct. And if it is correct, then we will approve it. If it's not, then we will not approve those changes. So you can see that it's now in update pending status, which means that we still need to go in and approve those changes that you have made to the general info tab. Moving down, the general info tab is the allowed program participation section. This section is controlled by the state agency, so you will not be able to make any changes to your allowed program participation. The programs that are checked are the programs that we as the state agency has indicated that you can participate in. So in this example, we have checked that you can participate in the school breakfast program, the national school lunch program, and the after-school snack program. Some of you may not have the after-school snack program checked because you've not participated in it in the past. And so if that is something that you would like to participate in, but it's not checked, you'll want to reach out to our office so that we can grant you permission to participate in the after-school snack program. You can also see your assigned program specialist in this section as well. So we have entered in the name of your assigned program specialist. Their phone number should be in there and their email address as well so that you have all of their contact information in one place. And then over here is the approval level official. Again, we have put in that information. You won't have any access to change that, but it has who will be approving your application in PrimeroEdge. And then at the very bottom of the general info tab is this discontinue application section. So you should only be using this section if you are discontinuing program participation for the current school year. This is important because once you put in a date and you provide a reason for discontinuing from the program, you're not going to be able to participate in any programs for the remainder of the school year. So you will not be able to participate in the National School Lunch Program, the school breakfast program, the after-school snack program at all. So be very careful not to fill out this section unless you are 100% sure you want to discontinue your application and not participate in any of the programs. So do not add this by accident because if we approve it, then that means you will no longer be able to participate in the National School Lunch Program for this school year. Okay. Once you have determined that the information on the general info tab is correct, or you've submitted changes, then we can move on to the next section. So I am going to give you some time to work on your general info tab. We're not going to give too much time because you're just going to be reviewing it. But essentially, you're just going to go through, you're going to check the information on the general info tab. And then if you need to make any changes, go ahead and submit those changes. So I will start the timer. Again, if you have questions on this section, go ahead and post it in that Q&A chat. And then I've also listed just some reminders here as well for this general info tab. So you're going to want to review your information, edit information as needed, make sure the sponsor admin is correct. It should be the person responsible for school nutrition, so usually the food service director. And then just a reminder that that sponsor admin needs to be a registered user in the system to be added. And then I didn't mention this, but you don't need to worry about the state EIN, the DBA vendor name, or grant ID. Those will be blank in the sponsor info section, and you can leave them blank. You don't need to enter anything for those three sections. And then again, just a reminder to not change your vendor name or ID. So that is the time for the general info tab. So we are going to go ahead and move on to our next section, which is the application sponsor tab. And so I'm going to hand it over to Rachel.
Okay, are we seeing my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Cool. All right, so next we will be talking about how to fill out the application sponsor tab, which you'll see is located right next to the general info tab. So go ahead and click over to that. Just wanted to let you know throughout this section, to ensure that you're not losing any of the progress that you make, you can use the save button at the bottom of the screen here. Just make sure to save often so that you don't lose any information you put in. So for our first section, we are going to we're going to do the district program participation. So you will check the programs that you are participating in. You will only have programs appear that were set up for you by the state agency. If there is a program missing, such as the after-school snack program, that you would like to participate in, please reach out to your assigned specialist to let them know. So for the start and end dates, they should already pre-populate in the system. The start date should be July 1st of the current school year, and the end date should be June 30th of the following year. Please do not change the start and end dates to correspond with your LEA school year. The dates listed are the period that your contracts and agreements are active with us. So moving on to procedural details, the first question is, will food service management company services be purchased? You should only mark this as yes if your sponsor works with a food service management company. If you receive vended meals, you should mark no. If yes is selected, additional questions will populate. The first question is, what was the competitive procurement method? The options you can choose from are sealed bid, proposal, small purchase, and public invitation. We have outlined the definitions of these in the PrimeroEdge manual, so if you don't know what they mean, please refer to that resource. You should indicate how many food service management company vendors were sent invitations. How many responses were received? The number you put here should be the same or lower than the number of vendors that were sent invitations. Then we are going to add vendors. You must add all of the vendors that responded to the invitation by clicking on Add Vendors and then clicking on Add New Record. You will select the vendor from the drop-down list. If the vendor is not on the drop-down list, select Not Listed. Next, you will indicate the yearly cost. Check the box if you chose the vendor as your food service management company and add any additional comments as needed. You will click Insert when done. You will click Add New Record and follow the same process to add any additional vendors if applicable. The number of vendors added must equal the number of responses received. After the vendor is added, they will appear in a table below. You can click the Edit Pencil icon to revise the vendor information if needed. Or you can click the Delete Trash Can icon to delete the vendor information. Once all of the vendors have been added, you can exit the box. The next section, will prepackaged meals, snacks be purchased from a vendor? This should only be answered yes if your sponsor purchases vended meals from a vendor. If you purchase vended meals from another sponsor, or if you work with a food service management company, you should mark no. If yes is selected, the following questions will populate, which are almost identical to the food service management questions. What was the competitive procurement method? The options you can choose from are sealed bid, proposal, or small purchase. Again, the definitions are outlined in the PrimeroEdge manual, so if you don't know what they mean, please refer to that resource. How many invitations were sent? You should indicate how many vendors were sent invitations. How many responses were received? The number you put here should be the same or lower than the number of vendors that were sent invitations. Add vendors. You must add all of the vendors that responded to the invitation by clicking on Add Vendors and then clicking on Add New Record. You will select the vendor from the drop-down list. If the vendor is not on the drop-down list, please select Not Listed. Next, you will indicate the yearly cost. Check the box if you chose the vendor to provide vended mills and add any additional comments as needed. You will click Insert when done. You will click Add New Record and follow this same process to add any additional vendors if applicable. The number of vendors added must equal the number of responses received. After the vendor is added, they will appear in a table below. You can click the Edit Pencil icon to revise vendor information if needed, or you can click the Delete Trash Can icon to delete the vendor information. Once all of the vendors have been added, you can exit the box. So will meals or snacks be purchased from another sponsor? This should only be yes if you purchase vended meals from another sponsor. If you purchase vended meals from a vendor or you work with a food service management company, you should mark no. If yes is selected, you will select which sponsor you are purchasing meals from in the drop-down menu. You will also need to upload a copy of the vended meals contract with that sponsor. Will meals or snacks be sold to another sponsor? If you are selling vended meals to another sponsor, you should mark yes. If yes is selected, you should select which sponsor you sell meals or snacks to from the drop-down menu. The next question is, do you have a wellness policy? The answer to this question should be yes. You should describe how you publicly post your wellness policy and include the website URL if applicable. You also need to upload a copy of your wellness policy. If you do not have wellness policy, you should select no and provide an explanation as to why you do not have one. So our next section is going to be student eligibility. What is the software program used to obtain direct certification? You should list the software program that you use to obtain direct certification information. What software program is used to process and/or track free and reduced price applications? You should list the name of the free and reduced application software used. If you do not use a software program, you can put NA. Will this SFA use the flexibility to apply free and reduced price determinations to the date they are received? In other words, would you like to backdate applications to the date they are received? If you would, select yes. If you mark no, then you must use the date that applications are approved and not backdate any applications or direct certification eligibility to the date they are received. We will now take a 5-minute break for you to complete the district program participation, procedural details, and student eligibility sections of your application. If there is information that you do not currently have access to, complete what you can now, and then you can come back to questions after the training. If you have any questions, please enter them into the Q&A chat. Once you have completed this section, make sure to save your progress. All right, hopefully you were able to get your sections completed, or at least started on. So we're going to move on to the next section, which is qualifying details. So the first question is, will you distribute and/or process the application for free and reduced price school meals? You should answer yes to this unless you are operating the community eligibility provision or provision 2 district-wide. This is only district-wide. If you are an LEA with multiple sites and only some participate in provision programs, then please select yes. If you select yes, the system will ask you if you will use the prototype application provided by the Utah State Board of Education. This is the free and reduced application that the state agency updates and posts annually. If you use the application provided by our office, mark yes. If you do not use our application, mark no, and then upload a copy of the free and reduced application you are using for state approval. Note that there is an option that can be marked that you will submit the copy manually. Please do not use this option. This option should only be utilized if there are extenuating circumstances that prevent you from being able to upload your application. Work with your assigned specialist if that is the case. Will you distribute the letter to household? This refers to the letter to household frequently asked questions that the USDA releases. Will you use the prototype letter to household provided by the Utah State Board of Education? This refers specifically to the letter that USBE CNP updates and releases each year titled Letter to Parents FAQs. This letter is posted on NSLP Central and is updated annually. If you use this specific letter, you will mark yes. If you don't, you will mark no. Will any sites be electing to participate in the Community Eligibility Provision, or CEP? If yes, an additional CEP tab will be added to the application after the application has been saved. We will mark no for this example. Will any sites be electing to participate in Provision 2? If yes, an additional Provision 2 tab will be added to the application after the application has been saved. We will mark no for this example. We will be doing a separate training on July 10th, which is tomorrow, to go over the CEP and Provision 2 tabs in the application. If your SFA has any CEP or Provision 2 sites, please plan on attending that training, as you will be the ones entering CEP and Provision 2 information into the system, unlike in CNP Web. Next question is, will any sites be offering meal service under the Seamless Summer option? If yes, the following questions will populate. Will the site operate under a standard regular school year or a continuous year-round school year, or both? A standard regular school operates for around 180 days per year with time off for a summer break, while a continuous year-round school operates year-round and a single summer break is swapped out for a series of shorter breaks throughout the year. Choose the option that applies to you. Will there be an overlap in serving dates for SSO meal service and regular meal service? If yes, there will be an overlap between the two meal services. The system will ask you for the method you use to ensure separation of meal counts for SSO and regular meal service. Will each SSO site be reviewed at least once during meal service? This should be answered yes. Sponsors are required to review SSO sites at least once during meal service. If you mark no, then you will have to provide an explanation of why you will not be reviewing each SSO site at least once. Will you be advertising the SSO meal times and locations to the community? This should be answered yes, and you should write how you are planning on advertising SSO, including URL links if applicable. If you mark no, then you need to provide an explanation why you are not advertising SSO to the community. If you select no for SSO operations, then the following question will populate. Do you want to be pre-approved to operate emergency feeding sites during unanticipated school closures or emergencies? Marking yes will pre-approve your sponsor to operate an emergency feeding site in the case of an unanticipated school closure or emergency. Moving on to the next section in the application sponsor tab is annual training. Has the director successfully passed an approved exam to be a certified food safety manager? All food service directors are required to take and pass an approved exam to be a certified food safety manager. This question should be answered yes. Please note that in Utah, the certified food safety manager exam is only good for 3 years. The system will autofill it to 5 years, so please go in and manually change the end date so it only is 3 years out from the day you took the exam. If you mark no, you are not a certified food safety manager, the application will prompt you to schedule a food safety certification class and once complete, to reopen the application and add your certification details. The next question, does your district have a food safety program in accordance with hazard analysis and critical control points, or HACCP principles, and in meeting with guidance issued by USDA? You are required to have a food safety program. If you do, mark yes. If you do not, you will be required to upload a file that provides details about your food safety protocols. This will require approval from the state agency. If you answer yes to this question, the following question will populate. Has your food safety manager reviewed your district's food safety program in the current year to update any changes in your facility or processes? This is a requirement. If you have already reviewed it, mark yes. If you have not, mark no, and give the estimated date that you or the food safety manager will be reviewing the school or district's food safety program. The last section of the application sponsor tab is the pricing details section. You must answer the pricing method for elementary, middle or junior, and high schools for the school breakfast program, the national school lunch program, and the after-school snack program if applicable. Site type refers to elementary grades K through 6, middle or junior grades 6 through 8, and high grades 9 through 12. In the pricing method column, you'll see these drop downs. Cost means that the school charges for paid and reduced meals. You should choose this option if you have a mix of cost and no-cost schools for each site type. No cost means that all meals are served at no cost to the students. Zeros are automatically entered for reduced price, paid price, and adult price. You should choose this option if all schools part of the SFA at the site type, either elementary, middle, or junior, or high, serve meals at no cost. If you are an RCCI with no day students, you should select no cost. Schools should still enter a dollar amount for adult price meals, so please change the price from zero to whatever you charge adults. If you do not sell or provide meals to adults at your SFA, then you can enter zero, and then in the comment box below, please make a note that you do not provide adult meals. Reduced cost waived means that students are charged for paid meals, but the cost for reduced meals has been waived. Sponsors will not be able to enter a dollar amount for reduced price meals. Sponsors should choose this option if all schools part of the SFA at the site type, elementary, middle or junior, or high, have waived the cost of reduced meals. With HB 100, all sponsors who are either public, charters, or districts who charge for paid meals should select reduced cost waived under the National School Lunch Program, since students will not be charged for reduced meals. Private sponsors would not choose this option unless you are planning on waiving the cost of reduced meals on your own. You should select NA if your sponsor does not serve a specific site type, as the pricing method would not be applicable. If NA is selected, you will not be able to enter dollar amounts for reduced price, paid price, or adult price meals. As a reminder, when entering reduced prices, breakfast cannot be greater than 30 cents, lunch cannot be greater than 40 cents, and snack cannot be greater than 15 cents. When entering your paid prices, remember that you should have a completed PLE tool or exemption. The paid price for lunch should match the amount approved in those. PLE calculations and exemptions will be processed and provided soon from our office. We will give you 5 minutes to finish filling out the qualifying details, annual training, and pricing details sections of the application sponsor tab. If you have any questions while filling it out, please put it in the Q&A chat. Once you are finished with the section, save your progress.
The timer is up, so you can move on to the next section.
Perfect. Okay, so this, I completed my table. Hopefully yours is similar. And then I entered my note down here about how we are not selling adult snacks. And so I left it at 0. Okay, so we do have this comment box. You can enter any comments that you have about the sponsor application that you would want us to be aware of, but it is not required to enter comments. And then down here is the certification box. So you will certify that the information for the application sponsor tab is true and correct to the best of your knowledge, and that you will let the state agency know if any changes occur to the information submitted. You are also agreeing to comply with all state and federal laws and regulations governing the child nutrition programs. Please note that if there are any errors or missing information in the application, the system will not allow you to submit the application and will prompt you to fix the questions that need fixing by highlighting the question with a red box. You can also save the application if you are not ready to submit it yet and want to come back to it later to work on. So make sure to hit this ready to submit button if you're ready to move on and you won't be doing any other work within this section. Okay, we are now done with the application sponsor tab, so I'm going to pass things over to Courtney.
Alrighty. Can I confirm that you all can see my screen?
Yes, we can see it, Courtney.
Thank you. All right, it looks like we're ready to move on to the application sites tab. We're moving right along, y'all. So we were just on the sponsor application tab, and we'll just move right over to the right to the application sites tab. This tab is where you will fill out the information for each of the sites that you operate. To see all of your sites, make sure the status is all. Select the site you would like to enter information for in the Site drop-down menu. You can see the status of the site in parentheses next to the site name. When the site has been selected, click Apply. Now you can fill out the information for the site selected. First, check the site address in the box on the right. If it is not correct, please make a comment on this tab or contact your assigned specialist to let them know. That comment box is on the bottom of this page. So moving down right along to filling out the site's application tab, what programs will the site participate in? You will check all the programs that the individual site is participating in. In this example, we will check the school breakfast program, the National School Lunch Program, and the After School Snack Program. Now, the primary site contact details. You must enter the contact information for the individual site. The contact should be site-specific. You will enter the contact's first and last name, their title, a site-specific phone number, and their email address. Moving down to annual training. Has the manager successfully passed an approved exam to be a certified food safety manager? Each site is required to have a manager on site who is a certified food safety manager. If you have one, mark yes, and enter the date the certified food safety manager was issued and the expiration date. Please note that in Utah, the certified food safety manager exam is only good for 3 years. Please change the expiration date and verify that it is 3 years after the issue date and not 5 years. So you'll see it went from 2025 to 2030. So you'll want to make it only 3 years and put in what would be the 3-year date for you. Marking yes will also populate the following question. How many people at this site are certified? You will enter the number of people at the site who are certified. If you mark no, you don't have a manager on site who has passed an approved exam to be a certified food safety manager, then the application will prompt you to schedule a food safety certification class, and once complete, to reopen the application and add the site manager's certification details. Moving down to participation details. What grades will this site serve? You will check each grade at the site that is regularly scheduled to receive National School Lunch Program and School Breakfast Program meals. So you'll click all the grades that apply to this specific site. Please note that Head Start and pre-K students can participate in the National School Lunch Program, School Breakfast Program, or Child and Adult Care Food Program, but not both. Pre-K and Head Start should be marked under the site if the students have access to the National School Lunch Program, School Breakfast Program, Special Milk Program, or After School Snack Program, and if there is a built-in time for those students to receive meals. If these students are served by the Child and Adult Care Food Program, they should not be selected. Remember that the Child and Adult Care Food Program meal pattern must be followed for all pre-K children unless they are commingled in the cafeteria. Moving down to the kitchen type. What is the kitchen type? You will mark how meals are prepped and served. The definitions for each kitchen type are listed in the PrimeroEdge SNP Applications Manual. Please reference that resource if you are unsure what kitchen type best fits your site. Where will this site claim meals? Please select where you plan on claiming meals, either on site or at a different site. For example, if the site is next to another site and the students would walk over to the other site to eat breakfast and lunch, those meals would be claimed at the site that the students eat it. Lunch is claimed for the second preceding school year. Number 4 here. These numbers are automatically pulled from the reimbursement claims from the second preceding school year. You will not need to enter these numbers. If the site is new and there is no data from the second preceding school year, you will click the new site box as there will be no prior meal counts to pull into these boxes. Doing that will pull in zeros to the lunch totals and the site will be classified as non-severe need. Using the data from previous lunches claimed, the system will automatically calculate a free reduced lunch percentage and apply an additional dollar amount reimbursement for severe need breakfast if the site is eligible. Moving on to meal service details specifically for the school breakfast program. What months will the site serve breakfast? You must select all the months that the site will be operating the school breakfast program and serving breakfast. If you select all, it will mark all the months. So you can select all and then just uncheck the months that you will not be operating breakfast. What days will the week will the site serve breakfast? You will mark the days of the week that the individual site serves breakfast. If the site serves weekdays, checking the Select Weekdays box will mark all the weekdays. What time will breakfast be served at this site? You will enter the time breakfast starts at the site and the time breakfast ends. You can either type the time into the box or click on the clock icon to select a time. The selected times are in 30-minute intervals, so you will have to manually type in a time if it doesn't land on one of those 30-minute intervals. The end time should include the latest ending breakfast time if the site is doing an alternative breakfast model. Moving on to offer versus serve. Does this site operate offer versus serve for breakfast? Offer versus serve is optional for all grades at breakfast. You must indicate whether or not this site is doing offer versus serve for breakfast. Counting procedure. You must indicate what counting procedure the site is using for point of service for breakfast. Use the drop-down menu to select a counting procedure. Coding procedure. You must indicate if the site is using a coding method, what procedure you are using for breakfast. You can do this by clicking on the drop-down menu to select a coding procedure. Payment method. You will indicate how students pay for meals at the site for breakfast. You will select cash, prepay charge if paid students pay for breakfast. You will select non-pricing if the site doesn't charge for paid meals for breakfast because of universal free breakfast, CEP, or provision 2. Finally, the POS terminal. This is asking how many POS terminals for breakfast are at the site. A POS terminal refers to the number of areas where program staff identify and verify that students are receiving reimbursable meals. A POS terminal can be either an electronic computer system or a paper system, such as a tally sheet. So we are going to take a break here now to allow you to fill out the areas that we just went over. And as we've been doing, please put your questions in the Q&A chat as they come up. Thank you, Steph. All right, our timer is up. We are going to move on to the next section. That's very similar to the school breakfast program section we just found out. So all of these questions are going to be for the National School Lunch Program. So what months will this site serve lunch? You must select all the months that the site will be operating the National School Lunch Program and serving lunch. If you check Select All, it will mark all of the months. What days of the week will the site serve lunch? You will mark the days of the week that the individual site serves lunch. If the site serves weekdays, checking the Select Weekdays box will mark all of the weekdays. What time will lunch be served at the site? You will enter the time lunch starts and at the site and the time lunch ends. You can either type the time into the box or click on the clock icon to select a time. The selected times are in 30-minute intervals, so you will have to manually type in a time if it doesn't land on one of the 30-minute intervals. Lunchtime should be between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. If you would like the site to serve lunch before 10 a.m., you'll need to fill out a waiver request. Moving on to offer versus serve for lunch. Does this site operate offer versus serve for lunch? Offer versus served is required for senior high schools, which is defined in Utah State Code as grades 9 to 12. Offer versus serve is optional for all other grades at lunch. You must indicate whether or not the site is doing offer versus serve for lunch. Counting procedure. You must indicate what counting procedure the site is using for point of service for lunch. Use the drop-down menu to select a counting procedure. Coding procedure. You must indicate what coding method, what procedure you're using for lunch. You can do this by clicking on the drop-down menu to select a coding procedure. Payment method. You will indicate how students pay for meals at the site for lunch. You will select cash prepay charge if paid students pay for lunch. You will select non-pricing if the site doesn't charge for paid meals for lunch because of CEP provision, etc. POS terminal. This is asking you how many POS terminals for lunch are at this specific site. A POS terminal refers to the number of areas where program staff identify and verify that students are receiving reimbursable meals. A POS terminal can be either an electronic computer system or a paper system, such as a tally sheet. POS does stand for point of service. All right, we completed the National School Lunch Program details. So we're going to scroll down to after school snack program since we have that as part of our example for the sake of this training. It might not be applicable for you, but for some of you, it certainly will be. So what months will the site serve snack? You must select all the months that the site will be operating after school snack program and serving snack. If you check select all, it will mark all the months. What days of the week will the site serve snack? You will mark the days of the week that the individual site serves snack. If the site serves weekdays, checking the select weekdays box will mark all the weekdays. What time will the snack be served at the site? You will enter the time snack starts at the site and the time snack ends. You can either type the time into the box or click on the clock icon to select a time. The selected times are in 30-minute intervals, so you will have to manually type in a time if it doesn't land on one of the 30-minute intervals. The snack program must not be served after the regular school day has ended. Make sure the times are PM and not AM. Letter D, what time is the regular school day over? Type in a time or select a time from the clock icon. Check that the time snack is indicated to be starting is after the time the regular school day is over. What enrichment activity will be provided? You can only select one option from the drop-down menu. You should select the option that best describes the activity the site provides, or you can select Other and list out the enrichment activities. Moving on to the eligibility section of the after-school snack program. For the after-school snack program, indicate the students eligible for free and reduced meals. For the students enrolled, you will enter the total number of students that are enrolled. A free reduced percentage will automatically populate after you've entered in this information. And it doesn't seem to be doing it for me. Hopefully it is all for you. Since it is not working for me, there are a handful of questions that will generate if your site is less than 50% free and reduced. And so I will verbally explain those questions for you if you are one of those schools that are less than 50% free and reduced. So if the free and reduced percentage is less,
It's showing
yeah.
on my end, so I can share my screen if you want to follow along with me
that's,
sharing it. Does that work?
that works great. Thank you. Great.
Okay.
So if the free reduced percentage is less than 50%, the following question will populate. Are there any schools that qualify your site as area eligible for the after-school snack program? A site is considered area eligible if the site is inside the boundaries of a school, non-charter, that has greater than 50% free reduced. Only attendance areas of district schools are allowed to qualify sites as area eligible since they enroll students from established zip codes and have marked boundaries. If there is a site that qualifies your site as area eligible, you will need to submit a copy of a boundary map to USBE CNP, our office. So if yes, there are schools that qualify your site as area eligible for the after-school snack program, more questions will populate. Select October data or select other month. You will most likely select October data. If other month data is selected, the site with other month free reduced eligibility must submit an enrollment list with eligibility data to USBE CNP to validate the other month data. Indicate the attendance area that qualifies this site as area eligible, at least 50% free reduced. You will select the district and site within the district using the drop-down menus. Only district sites with SNP applications that meet the free reduced percentage criteria will populate. The free reduced percentage will automatically populate if October data was collected. If other month data was selected, the free reduced percentage will need to be manually entered. Area eligibility start date and area eligibility expiration date. You will select the date that documentation was submitted to USBE CNP showing that the site is area eligible. The area eligibility is good for 5 years. Stephanie, do you want to continue sharing or do you want me to take over now?
I'll have you take over so that you can save the application with your data. So.
Okay. Alrighty, so now that we entered in the eligibility information, we will move on to the counting procedure for after-school snack program. You must indicate what counting procedure the site is using for point of service for snack. Use the drop-down menu to select a counting procedure. Coding procedure. You must indicate if the site is using a coding method, what procedure you are using for snack. You can do this by clicking on the drop-down menu to select a coding procedure. Payment method. You'll indicate how students pay for snack at the site for snack. You will select cash, prepay, charge if paid students pay for after-school snack program. You will select non-pricing if the site is area eligible, greater than 50% free reduced, or if you choose not to charge for snack if the site is not area eligible. POS terminal. This is asking you how many point of service terminals for snack are at the site. A POS terminal refers to the number of areas where program staff identify and verify that students are receiving reimbursable meals or snacks. A POS terminal can be either an electronic computer system or a paper system, such as a tally sheet. So you'll put the number here. Now we will transition away from the after-school snack program and finish up the remainder of the first site sheet. What is the attendance factor for the site? You may need to obtain this information from the front office staff. The national attendance factor is 93%. This information is pulled into the administrative review module. SFA sponsor comment box. You can enter any comments that you have about the site in this box. If the site address above is incorrect, you will add a note in this comment box noting the address is incorrect and what the correct address is. And finally, moving on to certification. You will certify that the information for the site is true and correct to the best of your knowledge, and that you will let the state agency know if any changes occur to the information submitted. You are also agreeing to comply with all state and federal laws and regulations governing the child nutrition programs. Once the certification box is checked, you can click Ready to Submit. There is also a Save button, as you know, at the bottom of the page. So if you're not ready to submit yet, please save your work and that so you can come back to it. So you will repeat this process for each site that will be participating in the school breakfast program or national school lunch program for the school year until all of your sites are in ready to submit status. We're not going to do all of those right now. You can do the remainder of your sites later if you have multiple sites, but I am going to show you a nifty tool to help you fill them out more quickly. So if you scroll back up to the top of the Application Sites tab and click the drop-down menu for the site, you will see that you can then click your next site. So I'm going to click the next one for Syracuse Arts and click Apply. And you'll see this box over here that says Copy Data From. So you can choose which site you would like to copy data over from to help you fill out this form. Once you select it, you'll press Copy, and you'll see that it automatically copies over most of the data. You will want to add in a primary site contact details here because that does not automatically copy over. And then please review every other section in here to make sure it is accurate because there will be information that changes from site to site. If for some reason, when you click this drop down button here, for some reason there are summer sites only that are appearing, or if you see any duplicate sites, please let us know right away so we can get that problem corrected. Those sites should not be submitted as part of the school nutrition application. So we are going to take a break here to allow you to fill out the remainder of this first site application. And then as always, please put questions in the Q&A. And as I mentioned earlier, we will just be filling out one site here.
Okay, so hopefully you had a chance to start working on your site application. We are going to move on to the next section of the SNP application, and just know that this tab will not appear for everyone. So this is not going to apply to everybody, just those that work with a food service management company or receive vended meals from a vendor and not a school. So this vendor tab right here only appears if in the application sponsor tab, you either marked yes to will food service management company services be purchased, or yes to will prepackaged meals or snacks be purchased from a vendor. So only those two questions will populate this vendor tab. If you marked no to both of these, go ahead and take a little break. You can go stand up, use the bathroom, get some water. But the vendor tab is only going to apply to those that work with a food service management company or receive those prepackaged meals from a vendor. So to fill out this vendor tab, again, you're going to click on vendor to get to it. And then in this tab, it's going to pretty much tell you whether you are, getting meals from a vendor or a food service management company. So this example, we are getting meals from a vendor, so prepackaged meals from a vendor. In this section, the company name should have already pre-populated from the information that you entered in the application sponsor tab when you added your vendors. So this should already be there. However, if you chose a food service management company or a vendor in the application sponsor tab that is not listed, then you will have to enter the company name here. So either it'll pre-populate if you chose it in the application sponsor tab, or if it was not listed, you will have to now list it here. It's next going to ask you for the food service management company contact information or the vendor contact information. So you can go ahead and fill that in. So you'll put in their first name, their last name, their email address. You're going to go ahead and enter in a phone number. Something really important to remember with the phone number is that you can't use any dashes in it. So just put in the numbers without anything separating the numbers. If you put in any dashes or anything else like that, it will not let you submit the vendor tab. So just make sure it's only numbers for that phone number. And then you can put in the job title of the contact of the vendor or food service management company. For the email address, you're going to want to make sure that this email address is also entered in the correct format. So for example, the name of the person at, example.com, or else again, you're not going to be able to submit the vendor tab. So again, just make sure that the email address is formatted correctly and the phone number is formatted correctly. Then you're going to go down to the initial year of your contract. So you're going to go ahead and select the applicable year from the drop-down list, and this should be the year that you originally entered into a contract with the food service management company or vendor. So if you're starting a new contract this year, you would choose 2025 to 2026. If you've been working with a food service management company since, 2023, you'll go ahead and click that. It just really depends on when that initial year of contract was established. Next, you are going to enter the applicable effective date. So this is the date that the contract was effective. And something that's really important to note is that this date should fall within the initial year of contract. So if I go in here, my initial year of contract is 2025 to 2026, which means I cannot select a date earlier than July 1st, 2025. So if I try to select, June 2025, it will not let me because it does not fall within the initial year of contract. So I will go ahead and select the date, the effective date. And then I'm going to go down to contract type. I'm going to select the applicable contract type from the drop-down list. So either fixed price or fee plus cost. We have outlined the definitions of these in our PrimeroEdge manual. And so if you are unsure which one you are, please refer to those definitions to know which one you should be picking. Next, we have the signing date. This is the date that both you, the sponsor, and either the food service management company or the vendor signed the contract. So you'll go ahead and select the date that you signed the contract. Then we have optional renewal years right here. If you are choosing to renew the contract with either the food service management company or the vendor for a set number of years, then you are going to choose the number of years from the drop-down menu. And then we have the end date. So this is the date that the contract ends. And so you're going to want to say, oh, when does my contract end? You'll go ahead and choose the date that your contract is ending. The next question is, will the contract be renewed for the current application year? If you are renewing it for the current application year, you'll click yes. If you are not, you will click no. If you click yes, a couple of additional questions are going to populate. So if yes is selected, you're going to enter the total operating cost of renewal and the reason why you are renewing the contract. And so it has to be numeric. So again, don't put any commas or anything separating the numbers in there. And then you'll put your renewal reason as well. And then it's going to ask you about early termination. If your contract is not going to terminate before the set date that it was originally supposed to end, you will mark no. If you are planning on terminating the contract before the set date that it was originally supposed to end, you will mark yes. And if you mark yes, a couple more questions are going to populate. So you need to enter an effective date indicating when the contract will be terminated. And then you're going to indicate in the comment section why the contract is being terminated early. And then finally, you are required to upload a copy of your food service management company or vendor contract. So you're going to go ahead and select click select in order to choose a document. You'll select the document and then it will appear right here. If you selected the wrong thing, you can go ahead and remove it by clicking on this remove button and selecting a new document. Again, you can save the application at any time by clicking the Save button located at the bottom of the page. And then you can click Ready to Submit once you're done filling out the vendor information. You can see here that if I were to add, oh, I guess I can't even add dashes, but if I were to add dashes into the phone number, it would not let me ready to submit. But you can see here that since I filled everything out correctly, I can go ahead and click on Ready to Submit. And then I did want to make a note that if you do not know any of the information in this section, please reach out to whoever procured the contract with either the food service management company or the vendor, because they should have all of this information on hand. And so you can talk to them in order to fill out the vendor tab. Okay, so we are going to give you a little bit of time now to work on that vendor tab. Again, you might not have all the information if you were not in charge of the procurement process for your food service management company or vendor, but we're going to go ahead and give you 5 minutes to work on it, start looking up that information, just looking at the tab itself to get familiar with it, and then we will move on to the next section. And again, if you have any questions, please drop them in the Q&A chat. Okay, so we are going to move on to our next tab, the PrimeroEdge application, and that is our Documents tab. So you'll click over to the Documents tab once you're ready to do so. And so this tab you will not be able to complete right now because there are going to be certain contract documents that are required to be uploaded, and you'll have to make sure that you get the correct signatures for those documents. And so I'm going to go over how to do it right now, but I'm not going to give you any dedicated time to work on it today because you'll need to involve other people in your LEA in order to get those documents signed. But I am going to go over which ones are required and how you can find them. So to submit contract documents as part of the school nutrition program application, you're going to click on the Documents tab. So we're calling them contract documents now. In the past, we called them offline forms, but in PrimeroEdge, they are known as contract documents, and so we're using that verbiage instead of offline forms. So if we refer to contract documents, just know that we are referring to what used to be known as offline forms in CNP Web. So just so that nobody is confused about why the name has changed. So once we're in this Documents tab, you can see that there are no documents listed right now in the Documents tab. I am going to show you where you can find which documents you have to upload because it's going to differ per sponsor depending on which programs you operate, how you operate, etc. But there are a few that all of you are going to have to upload to the Documents tab. So in order to upload a document, you are going to click on this Add New Record button. So once you click on that, it's going to bring up this page right here. You are going to go ahead and add the title of the contract document to the title field. So everyone this year is going to be required to submit a new permanent agreement. We had to make some changes to the permanent agreement, add a few sections. Summer EBT was added to it. And so because of that, we are requiring everybody to submit a new permanent agreement this school year. So just be aware of that. So that's going to be one that you're going to be uploading. So I went ahead and I typed in the title, which is Permanent Agreement, and then Program Association will show which programs your sponsor participates in. And so you are going to select the programs that pertain to the contract document you are submitting. So if you participate in the breakfast program, the National School Lunch Program, and After School Snack Program, you're going to go ahead and mark all three of those. Then to upload a contract document, you are going to go ahead and click on Browse to search for it in your computer. So it'll bring up a list of your documents. You can go ahead and find the permanent agreement wherever it is. I don't have one readily available, so I'm just going to go ahead and upload something random. But you'll find your permanent agreement and you're going to go ahead and upload it. The really important thing to keep in mind, well, first off, before I go over that, if you do end up uploading the wrong document, so in my case, I uploaded something that was incorrect, so I could remove it by clicking this remove button, and then I can go ahead and upload, you know, the correct document. I'm just again going to pick something random because I don't have one on hand. But you'll just make sure that you have that correct file uploaded. And that is really important because once you have it uploaded and you click insert, that will upload the document to the Documents tab, and you will no longer be able to delete this record. And so if you uploaded something and then realized, oh, I don't actually need this, this is not something that is required, unfortunately, there is no way to delete that document. So just be very careful that when you are adding a record and uploading it, that you're uploading what you want to upload, because then you will no longer be able to remove it. So for example, if I try to remove it, I can click on this View Edit button. It is possible for me to remove what I uploaded, and so I can upload something different if I would like to. But if I want to remove it altogether and, you know, delete all of this, it will not let me do it. And so once you have put in the title, the program, the document, and you've inserted it, it no longer allows you to delete this record. So just be very aware that whatever you're inserting as a contract document in your Documents tab is the correct thing that you want to upload. So you can also upload more. So if you have another one, again, everyone is going to be required to submit a free and reduced price policy. And so you can go ahead and type in the title of the document. You'll again select the programs that it's associated with. You'll upload your document. And then you'll insert it. You can see that there is a green response banner saying that the sponsor document has been saved successfully, and you can see all of the documents that you have uploaded in this table right here. Documents that you've also uploaded on other parts of your application will appear here as well. And so you should have the wellness policy showing up for you under contract documents, and then anything else that you uploaded will also appear here. If you need to upload anything else, you also can do that. So if, for example, you need to upload 2 things as part of your wellness policy, it only allowed you to upload one under the application sponsor tab, so you can upload the other one under the documents tab. So I want to go over the required contract documents next. So you can find all of the contract documents on NSLP Central if you go down to Overview of Federal Child Nutrition Programs and click on Annual Contract Renewal. All of the contract documents are going to be listed under Forms and Templates. Now this lists all of them, but you are not required to submit every single one of these. Some of these will only apply to certain schools. So I want to go over which ones apply to which and then where you can find that information if you cannot remember. So the permanent agreement is required by everyone. So this year we are requiring every LEA to complete a new permanent agreement as we have made some changes to the permanent agreement. The permanent agreement is going to be the most complicated form to complete. And so what we have done is in our PrimeroEdge manual, we have put in instructions on how to submit the permanent agreement. And so please refer to this as you do it. Otherwise, you're going to run into some issues. And so this is the step-by-step guide on how to submit a USBE Child Nutrition Program's permanent agreement in Adobe Sign. And so it's going to walk you through every single step that you need in order to submit that permanent agreement. It's going to include the permanent agreement Adobe Sign link. And so you can click on that to open up your permanent agreement. And then it's going to walk you through what you need to do in order to get it to the correct people in order to get this signed and filled out. So please refer to this for the permanent agreement. Otherwise, you are going to run into some issues and it's going to take a while to troubleshoot for you. And so we do want you to follow these instructions first before reaching out to our office. For the free and reduced price policy, all LEAs are required to sign the free and reduced price policy annually. This policy can be signed by the food service director if you have signature authority at the LEA. Otherwise, it needs to be signed by an individual with a contractual signature authority at the LEA and who is responsible for ensuring that requirements are met. And so you can find the link on NSLP Central. You can fill it out and then you can upload it to the Documents tab in the PrimeroEdge School Nutrition Program application. Next, we have the non-pricing policy. So this is required for any LEAs who are not charging for a meal, snack, or milk. If you are not charging for a meal, then you must sign this policy. So this includes any schools that are operating the community eligibility provision, provision 2 options, and the seamless summer option. So again, if you're serving any meal at no cost, you do need to sign this non-pricing policy. Again, linked here on NSLP Central, and then you can upload it to the Documents tab in the application. Next up, we have the Community Eligibility Provision Amendment. So this applies if you have applied to operate the Community Eligibility Provision and you're on track to be approved for the upcoming school year. It only needs to be signed once in a 4-year cycle. And so if you are new to Community Eligibility Provision or if you're starting a new cycle, you will need to sign this. This one will have to go through our office. So once it's signed, please send it to our office so that we can also sign it. But we'll work with you if you are new to community eligibility provision, or if you're starting a new cycle, we will work with you on getting this amendment filled out and signed. And again, it will need to be uploaded to the contract documents in PrimeroEdge. The same thing goes with provision 2 amendment. So if you are starting provision 2 this year, you will also need to fill out this provision 2 amendment, or if you're extending your cycle. Again, our office will work with you on getting that filled out, but that only applies to those schools who are operating provision 2. And then we have the RCCI meal pattern exception request. This exception request needs to be completed annually if you are a residential childcare institution. So it only applies to those residential childcare institutions. It does not apply to anyone else. And it only applies if you wish to serve a single meal pattern across age grade groups, or if you wish to meet the milk variety requirement over the week. So again, only RCCIs need to fill out this one. And again, you will just upload it to the contract document tab in PrimeroEdge. If you need to, again, refer to which ones you need to submit, we have this under the Documents tab in our manual, we have a How to Upload Documents step-by-step guide. You'll open up that, and if you go down to steps 14 through 19, it is going to tell you which required contract documents need to be filled out by which LEAs. So it'll spell it out here. I would recommend looking down here to see, oh, do I need to fill out the permanent agreement? Yes, everyone does. Do I have to fill out free and reduced? Yes, everyone does. Non-pricing policy spells out who needs to sign and turn in the non-pricing policy, so on and so forth. So if you can't remember, if you're not sure, please refer to the manual as it will walk through every single contract document and whether or not you need to sign it and fill it out and upload it. Okay, so that is the Documents tab. Again, I'm not going to give time to work on this right now because it is going to take some time to get all the correct contract documents filled out by the correct people in your organization. But I just wanted to show you how to do that. Okay. So I'm going to go back to our application, and I am going to certify and submit the application now. So once you've completed all of the tabs that you have access to, you can now certify and submit your application. Again, none of you are going to be doing that today. We don't expect any of you to have this completed today because, again, you'll have to upload documents. You'll have to fill out all the sites if you are a Provision 2 or CEP sponsor. There are going to be other tabs that need to be completed that we'll be talking about in our training tomorrow. And so none of you will be doing this today. So please do not go into the Certify Submit. I don't think it'll let you anyway because you shouldn't be finished with it. But once you're ready and once everything has been completed, you'll go into the Certify and Submit tab in order to move your entire application into submitted status so that our office can review it and approve it. If there are any sections that have not been completed, so for example, if we had not finished filling out all of our sites, it will not let us check the certify button right here. It'll instead have like a red banner at the top telling us what we did not fill out. And so it'll prompt us to go back and submit that information. But this one's ready to go. We have filled out the application completely. And so I can go ahead and check the box to verify that my application is accurate and true. And then I will click on Submit Application, which will now push my application into submitted status. And so now the state agency can go in and review that application to make any, to either approve it or to send it back for any corrections. So I'm going to show you one more thing. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a second because I need to approve the application on the state end. And then I'm going to show you what has to happen if you need to reopen your application at any point throughout the school year. So give me just 1 second to get that approved on the state end. But again, if you have any questions on anything, please pop it in the chat and we'll get those answered. It'll take me just a minute to get everything approved. Okay. I'm going to share my screen again. Give me just 1 second. Okay. So you can see here that your application, we're in the wrong school year, but your application has now been approved. So once it's been approved, it's going to say under application status approved. It's going to have a thumbs up with a green box around it. So that's how you're going to know that your application was approved. If you have to make any changes to your application throughout the school year, you are able to do that. But first you have to reopen the application in order to make those changes. Otherwise, you will not be able to edit your application after it has been approved by the state agency. So when you go into the application, on the General Info tab, it is going to have this reopen application section up at the top. And so you can reopen the application by typing in a reopen reason. So for example, I need to change my months of operation. So if, for example, you need to change what months your sites are operating, you can go ahead and type in your reopen reason into this box. And then you can go ahead and click on this reopen button right here, which is now going to reopen your application. So you can see that your application has been reopened, and you will need to make the required edits and resubmit the application so that we can approve it at the state level. So it is reopened. So what you'll have to do is you're going to need to go back through each tab and make the change that you want to make and then recertify and submit it. So if you need to make a change to your application sponsor tab, say that you changed your price for breakfast, and so you are now charging $2 for breakfast. You can go ahead and make that change here. You'll have to go back down to the bottom under certification and check this checkbox in order to resubmit this tab, and you'll go ahead and click on ready to submit. And then again, you'll go, through application sites. If you need to make any changes to any of your sites, you'll go ahead and click on the site. You'll open it up. If you need to make changes to the months that you're serving breakfast, say that you're no longer serving breakfast in May, so you're unclicking May. Same with lunch, you're no longer serving in May. And same with snack, you can go ahead and uncheck those months. And then again, you'll go down to the bottom, you will recertify. It's going to prompt me to answer this question right here. So let me just change that really fast. So you'll recertify, and then you'll go ahead and click on ready to submit, which will push it back into ready to submit status. So again, you'll just go through each section that you need to change, you'll make those changes, and then when you're ready to certify and submit your application again, you'll go back to this Certify Submit tab right here. You will click to certify that your application is accurate and true, and then you will submit your application. So that's what the process needs to be if you ever have to reopen your application to make edits. We know that things happen during the school year. Sometimes things will change. And so again, just make sure that, again, you open it on the General Info tab, and then you certify and submit it again on that Certify Submit tab. So that is the process for reopening an application after it has been approved the first time in PrimeroEdge. Okay, I am going to move to the PowerPoint again. Okay, so that is the end of the application training. We have gone through the entire application and how to fill it out, how to submit it. And so I just want to talk about a couple of other items that are relevant to this, and then if there's any questions, we can go ahead and answer those questions. But I did want to talk about some additional PrimeroEdge trainings that we have coming up. So tomorrow, August 10th at 1 p.m., we have our CEP and Provision 2 training for those of you that are operating CEP or Provision 2 for this next school year. And so please plan on attending that training. Those tabs are a little bit more, not complicated, but involved than what you've been doing in CNP Web in the past. And so we do want to make sure that you attend those trainings so that you understand how to fill out those sections of the application. So please plan on that. And then we will be holding claim trainings, upcoming claim trainings, once it's kind of ready for that time. And so we will be having a claims training the first week of August. This is for any sponsors who operate the National School Lunch Program in July. So if you operate in July, please plan on attending the claims training the first week of August so that you can get your claims submitted on time. And then those of you who don't start operating the National School Lunch Program until August, you can attend our claims training that we're holding the first week of September. Once we have those dates finalized, we will send them out to you. So just keep an eye out for that. But just know that we will be holding claims trainings both the first week of August and the first week of September to help you out with your claims, because we do know, again, it's a new system and we want to make sure that everybody has the help and resources that they need to get things submitted. And then I just wanted to give a small announcement about direct certification. Right now, direct certification is open in CNP Web for school year 25-26. So if you need to access it right now, you can access it in CNP Web. It's not currently available in PrimeroEdge yet, but you can still use CNP Web to access direct certification. Just remember that no matches are going to be coming through the Review Nightly certification screen until the middle of August or beginning of September. So those will not be available right now. Until then, you can upload an enrollment list directly to the Certify Students screen in order to download available matches. So just the same as what you've been doing in past school years. And then I did want to make a note that do not fill out an application in school year 26 in CNP Web unless you operate SSO or the Seamless Summer option. So all applications will be filled out in PrimeroEdge, not in CNP Web, unless you are a Seamless Summer option sponsor, and then you will fill out the application in CNP Web. So just a heads up, we have been deleting applications that were filled out incorrectly in CNP Web, since it will all be done in PrimeroEdge going forward. But even though you don't have an application in CNP Web, you can still access the direct certification module. So you do not have to fill out an application in order to have that access to use the direct certification module. So I just wanted to mention that. Okay, that is all that we have for this training today. So we have some time for questions. I know we have been answering a lot of the questions throughout the training, but if there are any that you have right now, you can either feel free to pop them in the Q&A chat, or you can come off of mute to answer them. I do see, Gwen, your question about will Seamless Summer claim be in CNP Web? And yes, any claims related to Seamless Summer option will be in CNP Web, but all claims related to the National School Lunch Program will be in PrimeroEdge. So if you're running SSO this summer, you will submit that as per usual in CNP Web. Okay, any other questions? I know it was a lot. It's a lot of information. We will be posting this recording so that you can go back to it and watch it. And then we also have that manual available. Again, that manual is going to be very, very useful. We recommend that you look at it a lot, go through the steps on that step by step. And if there are things that don't make sense or that you're unclear about, please let us know so that we can continue to improve our resources. And then we do know that, bugs and technical issues can occur. And again, just reach out to us if those things occur so that we can help fix that.